Okay, it's now 2:03, so I think that we will start. Please give me a sign if you are all listening well in good conditions. So, okay, yeah. So, dear participants, welcome to the first webinar of the SCAR Insight series, today dedicated to the work of the SCAR Forest Working Group. For those of you who might not be familiarized with SCAR and the SCAR working groups, SCAR, which stands for Standing Committee on Agriculture Research, is a EU committee that brings together more than 35 countries, member states or associate countries, and the European Commission, and plays an important role in establishing a European research area with a common agriculture and wider bioeconomy research agenda, including fisheries, which enhances cooperation, coordination, and information exchange between countries and regions using four main activities: strategic policy advice, developing a strong foresight process, developing common research agendas, and mapping SCAR research capacities. One of the main drivers of SCAR are the working groups and task forces. They are the backbone of the SCAR. Focusing on specific priority areas, they provide policy advice, highlight priority research and innovation topics based on needs and gaps, and develop strategic research and innovation agendas. They have a focus on strategic policy advice. The working groups are SCAR Agroecology, SCAR ACIS, that stands for Agriculture Knowledge and Innovation Systems, SCAR ARCH, European Agriculture Research Towards Greater Impact on Global Challenges, SCAR Bioeconomy, SCAR Fish for Fisheries and Aquaculture Research, SCAR Food System, SCAR Sustainable Animal Production, SCAR European Animal Health and Welfare Research, and of course, SCAR Forest for Forests and Forestry Research and Innovation, our speakers in today's webinar. There are also two task forces working on foresight and protein. You can learn more about SCAR and the SCAR working groups on SCAR's website, which we're going to put the link on the chat box. Today, we will start a series of webinars called SCAR Insights, dedicated to disseminate the role of the working groups. And it is our pleasure to start this series with the SCAR Forest Working Group under the subject SCAR Forest Coordinating Forest Innovation. The SCAR Insight webinar are hosted by the RefreSCAR project. And to introduce you to RefreSCAR, I pass the floor to its coordinator, Orlais Ni Choncoubert from Chigask. Orlais, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jose. It's a pleasure to warmly welcome you all on behalf of RefreSCAR. We're delighted to be partnering with SCAR Forest today to bring you this SCAR Insights webinar. We think that it's important to showcase the work of the SCAR working groups and the important initiatives that they're cooperating on at the moment, particularly SCAR Forest, that has so much importance for many different policy areas such as climate, biodiversity, economics, social aspects, rural development. So we're really looking forward to hearing about SCAR Forest and the important work they're doing at the moment. As Jose mentioned, SCAR has made a huge contribution to establishing a European research area built on cooperation and coordination across Europe in the area of agriculture, food, fisheries, forestry, and the wider bioeconomy, and has led to many important initiatives such as the ERANETs under Horizon 2020, and more recently the partnerships, the Cluster 6 Horizon Europe partnerships. So we think it has a huge role to play and has had many important impacts. In RefreSCAR, we are a Horizon Europe funded project that is seeking to support the SCAR working groups and task forces in their work in terms of administration, scientific support, cooperation and collaboration, and indeed input into policy and practice in the topic areas. So I won't delay you anymore. You're very welcome from my side, and I'll pass you back to Jose to introduce the first speaker.
Okay, thank you, Orlais. So with no further ado, let me pass the floor to the first speaker, who is Ann Tolvanen. She's Program Director and Professor at National Natural Resources Institute in Finland, and she's going to talk about SCAR Forest history, members, and previous work. And the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. I will share my screen now. So my title is The Roots of SCAR Forest, and this made the presentation by the three co-leaders present co-leaders of the SCAR Forest and Forestry, myself, Nicolas Picard, and Mika Kallio, who will follow me in this presentation. And you can see that my background photo and this photo here are a bit different weather and landscape. So greetings from northern Finland with -10 degrees at the moment. Yesterday we had -17, and I'm happy to see some snow falling down eventually, because that's what the nature needs now. Okay, so the first presentations already partially told something about the SCAR forest, but I'm going to in detail tell a bit more. So what is the SCAR forest? So we support the research and innovation, considering especially sustainable forest management. So that's our main kind of a working arena. But the sustainable forest management is it is interacting with quite a few many other topics, such as biodiversity, climate change, mitigation and adaptation, and of course it's related to the circular bio-based economy. So this is a very wide scope what we are covering here in the SCAR forest. And we facilitate the collaboration among member states and other countries and stakeholders such as policymakers, researchers, and industry. And our aim is to enhance the impact and efficiency of forest-related research and innovation. And we especially presently and during the recent years, SCAR Forest has had a strong role in aligning forest research with the EU policy frameworks, influencing the EU policies, and getting messages from there, being incorporated into forest research. And such frameworks as, for instance, the Green Deal, Forest Strategy, and the EU Biodiversity Strategy. And then we coordinate research agendas, foster knowledge exchange, and harmonize forest-related data across the EU. So these are our main main tasks for the moment. So why is this SCAR forestry needed? Almost half of the land area are covered by forest or wooded area in the EU. So it means that forests have a huge impact on everything in the EU. And the forests cover like a wide spectrum of forest ecosystems, ranging from the Mediterranean southern forest up to the northern boreal forest up in here. So very diverse ecosystems. They produce very diverse ecosystem services. The needs to the forests are quite different and diverse in different parts of Europe. But what is common is that the forests have high importance and value for industry, livelihoods, and in general also self-sufficiency of EU countries. And the self-sufficiency has become even more important during the recent years. But there is lots of challenges also, because it's diverse ecosystems managed in a diverse way. There's lots of fragmentation in the forest-based sector. Not only because the forests are different in different parts of Europe, but there's lots of forest owners, huge amount of forest owners, which have their own aims, own ways of treating the forest. So the management of forest is very diverse also, which influences everything what is done and what is gotten from forests. And especially recently, there's increasing and high pressure towards the forest because of the competing land uses and conflicting strategies, conflicting pressures targeted to the forest. And also the forest growth is at risk because of the climate change, increasing disturbances and damages in the forest. So there's lots of needs for research concerning forests. So SCAR Forest aims at tackling these challenges by identifying common needs for research and innovation, promoting transnational coordination, and providing advice and support for EU policies. And the ultimate aim is to increase sustainability, resilience, and competitiveness of EU's forest-based sector. And at the moment, the SCAR forest is composed of 23 countries, of which 4 new member countries have joined us during the last 2 years. And these new countries are new members of Slovenia, Croatia, Portugal, and the Netherlands. And then European Commission is also the member. And then we have 5 observers, European Forest Institute, Forest Technology Platform, and Innovawood, EUFRO, and Forest Value. And you can see on the map the SCAR forest members. It's quite red already in the EU map. So the history, we are living the 4th mandate for the moment. The first mandate was initiated in 2011, and the mandate was actually established 2 years later in 2013. And it was a 2 years mandate. And now I have to say that the mandates have lasted for different time periods. I don't know why sometimes they have been 2 years, sometimes 3, and sometimes 4 years, but maybe somebody can answer this question later on, why this duration of the mandates has varied. So first, when the SCAR forest started, it was 15 members, and the main objectives were identify common needs for research and innovation and the transnational cooperation, and to find the diversity of management options, address these and how they influence the research needs. These were the 2 main objectives in the beginning. And the main achievement was support the launch of the ERANET Sun Forest. Then the second mandate lasted for 2.5 years, ending in 2019, and then the number of members was increased from 15 to 19. And then, of course, the old objectives were still alive, transnational cooperation and so on, but then there were more ambitious aims to strengthen the knowledge base, provide intelligence into strategic EU programming, feed public debates on forest-related EU policy areas. So the aim was to have more impact on the policy arenas at this stage already. And there were many activities carried out, and I will show you a few examples of what was achieved during this period. The third mandate was longest so far, 4 years. And during that time, the membership number of members increased from 19 to 21. And the objectives, again, the old objectives were alive, the transnational coordination and research and so on. But then there was more like promote forest-based system value chain approaches, be a source of advice. This is an important task. Then there was also a clear aim of increasing the list of participating members and observers. So there was an aim to grow. And main achievements were participation to the 5th SCAR foresight exercise, analysis of the knowledge gaps linked to the new EU forest strategy, considering imported deforestation and carbon farming. I will show a couple of examples, closer example of these. And then there was a collaboration already with other SCAR working groups, especially the SCAR Arts and Bioeconomy. So there was also networking with others. And the development of the partnership, like the forest partnership started, was initiated at this during this third mandate. And Mika will talk about this partnership after me. And now we are leaving the 4th mandate, and it lasts until 2026, and this is 3 years long. And already during this short time period that this has been going on, we have increased, have gotten 2 more member countries. And now there's a very clear main objective. It is to support the development of European Research and Innovation Partnership on forest and forestry. So this is now we are focused to create this partnership. And the specific objectives are very much linked to this main aim. So what has been achieved? What are some key products during the history? In 2017, there was a synthesis report on forest bioeconomy research and innovation in Europe. So this is kind of a starter where the whole thing is starting. What do we know? And it was found that forest bioeconomy is very fragmented research area, and there is very low level of cooperation among different topics. And this is what the present SCAR forest and the partnership are trying to tackle, so that it's not only the industry, but it covers the multidisciplinary topics of biodiversity, climate change, and climate change mitigation and adaptation, and also the circular bioeconomy, so that this scope has enlarged a lot since those times when this summary report was done. Then it was found out that radically new and complex innovations are more successful than routine and safe innovations. So we should have courage to do things. I think this is what it means. And then innovations and information provided by European Commission projects were not seem to be enough to develop successful innovations. There needs to be financial support as well as input from the diverse groups of actors. And actually, there was one more important point, which was that the Eastern European EU countries haven't been able to to get as much EU Horizon projects as the Western countries, and they have to be incorporated better into the Horizon programs, and that bullet is missing from here now. But I will come back to that in the next report, which was launched next year, 2018, about the assessment of error nets and costs in terms of how important they are, what's their role in European forest research. And error net and cost actions were found to be important in initiating and implementing future-oriented forest-related research and innovation because of these transnational networks and collaborative actions. And they were found to be good for the funding partners because of their flexibility, so that the funding organizations can select the projects and programs which fit best to their national priorities. And also, these error nets and costs were seen to facilitate the partnership and incorporation of actors from Central and Eastern Europe, which was a good thing, of course, because in the previous assessment, these countries were seen to have some difficulties in joining the Horizon projects. So error nets and costs were provided this opportunity then. So in 2022, there was a policy brief on combating importing deforestation. And the key messages from that report is the transdisciplinary multi-actor, multi-level approach is needed. And of course, the projects have to be multinational, so that they are not only done here inside the EU, but they need the countries in which the deforestation is caused by our actions here in the EU. So we know that, for instance, food production causes deforestation in some other countries when we want to import the food or some raw materials from elsewhere. So this is what it was about. And then there was a need to develop models for predicting long-term land use and tools and methods for monitoring the forest degradation. Important policy brief. And then the last year, portfolio analysis was done on carbon farming and carbon removal certification, because you know that in the EU the carbon certification scheme is maybe it was just accepted, or the framework, but this is an ongoing topic. So Horizon projects were evaluated in terms of what they are, what kinds of projects there are in this theme, and it was found that there's only 18 projects at that moment, so very few projects which could be evaluated, and there were lots of knowledge gaps placed from these 18 projects related to soils, peatlands, forest, and wood products in general. What is the actual capacity to store carbon or sequester carbon from the atmosphere, and in fact the knowledge is still quite maybe even contradictory in some places. So this is something which needs to be developed, but the portfolio analysis did what it could at that moment when there were not enough many projects to be analyzed. So this is a short summary of what the SCAR Forest has been doing during the recent years, during the four mandates. And this is just my own thoughts of like the present mandate puts full effort to the building of the partnership, but then we haven't really discussed what is the role of the SCAR Forest Working Group now when the partnership is launched. Is everything what we have been doing will be in the partnership. So will the working group be on hold for the time, or will we continue the working? And especially after the partnership, what will happen after that? So this is open question. Maybe somebody knows the answer already, but this is what came to my mind. So thank you. This is what I have to present right now.
So thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. Before I pass the floor to our next speaker, let me just inform you that all these documents and a lot more, you can find them in the SCAR website, either in general documents or in within the page of SCAR Forest and documents. You can find everything there, and the link, you've got it on chat. Let me just also invite you to use the chat box for questions that you might have. You can put them there, or suggestions, comments. Feel free and use the chat box, and we'll go through your questions during the question and answer session. So with no further ado, I'm going to pass the floor to our second speaker, who is Mika Kallio, and is a product manager research for the Legal Affairs Unit, Information and Research Division in the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry in Finland. So back to you, Mika, and 25 degrees colder than here. The floor is yours. You're muted, Mika.
I noticed, but
Okay.
I'm switching between the screens and everything. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from Finland. Yeah, indeed, here in the southern part of Finland, so Anne, we have a similar type of weather you are having up there, but not that cold, but still like from 5 to 10 centimeters of snow and all covered white here, and -5 or something. But glad to see everyone here, and I'm pleased.
Sorry,
to see
Mika,
that
can you put your slides on presentation mode?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a moment. Oh, it should be actually showing on my laptop, but now, how about now?
Yeah, perfect.
Does it work? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So glad to see that many participants actually to today's meeting, because I was afraid so that when we started discussing that we would be the first one in this series and would like to get this launch actually before the Christmas break already. So we have almost like 70 participants to this meeting. So I'm very glad to see that so many people are interested in the topic of today. So what I will discuss here is about the importance of SCAR Forest's role, and then the Forest Research Partnership, which was already mentioned by Anne. So just for your information, so it might be that all of you are already familiar with the concept, but when we are talking about these European partnerships under Horizon Europe, so they come from Horizon 2020, obviously, so that for instance, now when it comes to these co-funded European partnerships, they actually stem from these Eranet co-funds as HEP co-funds. And this is actually where we will be focusing in the forest partnerships, or the co-funded European partnerships, when it comes to aligning priorities and co-program of research through establishing a common strategic research innovation agenda. And then when it comes to contributions, these come from the member countries, so either cash or in kind. And then there's additional funding from the European Commission, so-called top-up funding, and usually the funding range is 30%, like in our case. But I will not start discussing any more details about this institutionalized European partnership or co-programmed European partnerships. But nevertheless, so simply to show you so that there's three types of different types of European partnerships at the moment, and we are still developing ours. And Anne already mentioned about these few reports as well, so that how important these from Eranes have been for to different types of developments, the forest sector. So this is simply to show you about the previous investments in the sector under Horizon 2020 framework program and then Horizon Europe. So altogether from 2014 until 24. So roughly we could say that it's 300 million euros from those framework programs directly to forest research. But then if we see the Eranet story, so you can see that we already initiated this series of Eranet in 2004, and actually the last Eranet as such was run or finished 2023, called Forest Value. And altogether, if you start counting down these Eranets together, so the investments have been more than 100 million altogether throughout the years, mainly coming from member states and associate countries' national funding. And then I jump directly to the forest partnership, or the former name is actually the European R&I Partnership in Forest and Forestry for a Sustainable Future, but we call it Forest Partnership to make it more simpler. And these are basically the building blocks of our partnership, so that this also illustrates you that how the SCAR Forest has been involved in developing the whole idea. And there's also on the next slide then timeline to show you so that how long actually it has taken to get this to the point where we are today. So there is the so-called partnership fish in the very beginning, which was a 6-page concept note created by SCAR Forest. And then later we came to the so-called dossier, or in the EU language they call them proposals in this case as well. So this 30-page document, which actually then was a basis to start collecting the member state and associate countries' commitments for the partnership. And then we have the RIA process running at the moment as well. And this RIA process will be discussed by Jan Schmidt later. And this is run by under the U4E umbrella, this U4E project running at the moment. And finally, after these phases, so in this Horizon Europe Cluster 6 work program for 25, which is still to be adopted in the spring, so there will be a call for this partnership, and we need to apply that from that call and develop a partnership proposal, which will be then eventually collected by the partnership consortium. And there we will already have taken some steps to this direction, but this is now undergoing at the moment. And this slide is now simply showing you the importance of SCAR Forest, because as you can see from this timeline, so we started discussing the first proposal for forest partnership already in 2018, actually, because it was 2019 when we make the proposal for forest partnership in this first wave of these European partnerships. And that time, so it was not selected. But then in SCAR Forest, we continued discussing with the European Commission and member states about this idea and topic. And actually, when in 25, then the new EU forest strategy was published. So this was the moment actually to set the objective for the forest partnership, because there was a clear statement for this. And that led to the next phase, so that in September 25, DG Agri then came to SCAR Forest and was asking to start developing the first draft partnership fish, that 6-page I was mentioning earlier. And the following year, we also got then the EUFORE project started to focus on the SRIA development, because this strategic research innovation agenda is a compulsory element of any European partnership. So we needed to get it also, this process started, and we were lucky enough, after having a active discussion with the European Commission, to get this chance to apply for this type of project, and we were successful. And then there were many discussions with the European Commission along the timeline here. So I won't start discussing all of this, but this is simply to show you so that that SCAR process has been, SCAR Forest has been very active in the process in general. So that finally this led to the fact, so that in that on the 20th March 24, when the European Commission published the second strategic plan of this Horizon Europe program for the remaining 3 years. So this is where it was explicitly mentioned that this forest partnership is one of the new European partnership to be established. And then there was a publication of these news dossiers, these proposal documents, like I mentioned, that was done in June 24, and that all those documentations I'm discussing here, so were prepared by SCAR Forest. So there's been a lot of work involved in the SCAR Forest during the last 4 or 5 years altogether already now. And it was in June 24 when the European Commission then sent letters to member states and associated countries asking for these initial formal funding commitments for these new partnerships. And it is not just that we let the European Commission start asking these funding commitments, but obviously we have to be active, and we need to be active all the time towards the member states. So this is also where the discussions within the SCAR Forest are playing a crucial role. And you can imagine how many meetings we have had altogether throughout the entire timeline. So, but finally, so after these 5 years of discussions, it was last year in December, we got this Christmas present, so to speak, from the European Commission, where they announced that now the Horizon Europe Strategic Program Committee has actually took a decision that after this Commission Services assessment, that the European co-funded R&I partnership in forest and forestry for a sustainable future is included as one of the 9 new partnerships with the Horizon Europe Strategic Plan. That was the Christmas present last year. And altogether, for this assessment, so 24 member states supported the idea for this European partnership out of 27 replies. So very good result. And this is the frame of the partnership in general. So the implementation mode, as I mentioned, is this co-funded European partnership, and it will be run under this cluster 6, which is about food, bioeconomy, natural resource, agriculture, and environment. And the envisioned duration is from 7 to 10 years, and expecting start already put it here, so will be most probably early 26. I will explain quickly then in the following slides, so why this late start. And the union contribution, meaning the top-up funding from the European Commission, will be this 30%. And altogether, the maximum funding is 70 million euros from the European Commission. This meaning that when we are now discussing this 30%, so the member state contributions should be in minimum this 163 million euros, so that altogether we are talking about roughly 250 million euro partnership here. But if we now then start calculating all the leverage effects of other contributions, whatever they might be, so we might even think of these total contributions valuing or totaling up to 300 or even 500 million euros. And at the moment, so what I can already tell you, this is now actually the very latest information from the European Commission. The member state contributions at the moment count more than 200 million euros. So we must have done something correct in the SCAR Forest as well. So then a few slides about these expected partners and the contents of the partnership. So like Anne was mentioning, so this has always been discussed, so that of course we are talking about diversity of challenges when we are talking about forestry and forests in general. So both at local, regional, national, European and international level. And this is why we need a wide variety of different types of partners in the partnership. I will not start discussing this any further, but simply to note at the bottom line of this slide about this INCO feature that we need to have also the global perspective on forest, and this will be also a big task in this coming partnership. And this is now simply to show the following slides. I will not start discussing these anymore, but this is mainly for your information that we had to, when we were answering or negotiating with the European Commission for this forest partnership, so we had to also then actually discuss this compliance with the legal base for the partnership. And they include questions like overall effectiveness, rationale for this partnership. And these all elements which are now shown to you came from SCAR Forest. So we discussed with the member states and within SCAR Forest all these things and then explained and actually translated then to the European Commission. Then it came to directionality. So we had to come up with a suggestion of the objectives and expected impacts. And these are now all the main elements in that dossier. So it was later then created by SCAR Forest. And then at the bottom line again, a note for the about the support from this Horizon Europe Youth project to develop the TRIA. But Jan will discuss the details then. And then to continue with this legal base, there's something about this additionality, demonstration of the EU added value. So we have to demonstrate the added value, so that why is there a need for this partnership in forest and forestry. So obviously it comes that we need a better coordination of this research between countries. We need better integration. We need to learn from the strengths of forestry in each country. And then finally, of course, this gives us possibility to pool this MS resources, joint activities with national funding bodies and research organizations. And then this is very important, of course, for the partners in general. So we need to discuss the coherence and synergies about complementarity partnerships. There are a number of them, about other initiatives running like missions, then these dedicated platforms, initiatives under the European Green Deal. Cost, it might be EU Farm Book through their different networks when it comes to living labs, for instance, to CAP strategic plans, LIFE, etc. And on the other hand, we need to then, of course, avoid overlaps with these synergy discussions. So turning these potential overlaps into synergies through holistic approach, etc., etc. And this is now the proposal development timeline for the partnership. So in November, so the remaining member state and associate countries' financial commitments were delivered to the European Commission. Actually, there are still a few missing, and they are coming in at the moment as well. But like I was saying, so roughly 200 million euros collected altogether for this initial commitments. And then later this year, so the European Commission has been discussing the finalization of this Draft Horizon Europe work program, which will be then adopted early next year. And there will be now this call topic opened for the forest partnership. And actually what we have been announced and told is that these calls will open on the 6th of May 25. And what now we have been discussing internally with the current organizations and countries interested in joining the forest partnership, that we would try to get this full proposal from our side already completed before the summer break starting, because the full proposal deadline is the 17th of September, and you know that during the summer break, so it's really difficult to go into any deeper discussion. So we will have a very busy springtime, and this is where SCAR Forest will be supporting as well. And then finally, after this deadline, there will be evaluation periods and grant agreement negotiations, everything. And you know, again, that it takes time with these Horizon Europe programs. So this is why we can expect that the start of the partnership would be sometime in 26 and hopefully from the very beginning, but we will see. And this was my quick presentation about the importance of SCAR Forest. A lot of work included, but thanks to all active members, so we have made it until now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mika, and congratulations for the good work, and thank you for the exciting news. We are now a few minutes behind schedule, but we will make a rule in this webinar series, the Insights, that any group that announces a funding over 200 million, we are allowed a few minutes behind. So